Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi, the Division 2 Legendary. I'd have to say that the Division 2 Legendary is kind of the bread and butter. It's kind of the main impetus of why I started this channel, was to discuss. That's Caesar who's unhappy. You're going to be okay, Caesar. Come here, buddy. Or how about squirting? So I jumped into this. I'm doing the weekly. Tomorrow's the reset for the weekly legendary. So I jumped into a group. They already had an opening. They're about halfway through. This is the part where I just pulse everything. The group leader had pulse already. They have like that healing kit that goes kind of fast. I don't know if it's high wire or something. And but my kit's better than that, sorry. And it's not because I'm better than the player, just I'm a higher level, so I have everything maxed out. That's an unfair comparison when you're doing builds, because a lot of times, if your expertise 20, you just got 20% extra. And if your watch level's, past 800, everything else is 10%. So you got 30% more of something in some cases, just not a fair comparison. And like I've told you before, you can play this in purples, you do fine. Maybe not legendary, but I don't know, I'd have to try it. I never can try it because I don't want to do that to a group. So today's title is Cold. One of the things in sales or anything in life, a lot of times, this isn't just my present situation, it's been pretty much my whole career in the Coast Guard and in the 2 different companies I worked at. Cold calling doesn't work. And cold calling is go over that ship and see if we can borrow some paint. You have no relationship with anyone over at that ship. You don't know anyone over at that ship. They're going to tell you to go pound sand because you're not anybody. It's not how that works in the military. When you're at a work site, I used to work in a lot of automotive plants, and if you're a vendor and you forget tools or stuff, and you're going to go ask the union guys to borrow tools, you're going to have to go pound sand unless you have a relationship. And in sales, I was guilty of this. I was in charge of an aftermarket sales group, kind of in an emergency situation. Caesar, I will squirt the crap out of you. And that's a cold snap, YouTube, for Caesar. Look at Caesar getting highlighted behind me. Apple, don't get Caesar over me. Focus on me, Apple. And I was put in charge of a small sales team, and I was like, how come we don't sell more? Just call more people equals more sales. And that's not how it works once you get in sales. So in general, when your manager just tells you to go out and pound the pavement, they don't know what to do with you. Really, that's a failure on their part in management. What they should do is have you do some things that seed the soil or, make the marketplace aware that you have something for sale. So you might have some social media posts, some flyers, some mailings, those kind of things that at least puts the word out so there's some chance when you call that people know what you're doing. In some cases, if you have a product that's so great, it kind of opens the door. But that's not the kind of sales that I get. I'm not that good of a salesperson. Which, time out YouTube, kind of seems backwards. If I suck at sales, you should give me the easy things to sell and give the hard things to sell for the better salesman. But the thing is, the harder salesman can't sell that either. When you get shitty territory or no leads, you just get shitty territory or no leads, YouTube. So I'm in this group. We're going through. You've seen me do this over and over. I'm going to pulse, 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 and I'm going to heal for them because in that last instance, so I'm going to throw out a healing pot and I'm going to pulse, pulse, pulse. This is a really good group. They're lower watch levels, but they have a lot of DPS, so it's a nice mix. And this is a case where some of the people go down a lot. That's no worry. These are great people going through it. It's easy to do. They get each other up, so it's no problem. Back to cold calling. So when the manager has you do cold calling, what they're really saying is they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with you. They don't know how to sell, but just get out of their face. And so in general, cold calling never works. Rarely, sometimes it'll work, but it's rare. And so, do you argue with your manager? At this point in my life, I don't argue. When I was younger, I would argue And maybe I'd win some, lose some. Maybe I won 40% of the time. Maybe 2 out of 5 times. But the other times I would just say, just go do it. And the thing about those things is just so demeaning because your time is worth so little as a human being that they just would rather you waste it kicking rocks than doing anything productive. And that's one of those signs that you're in the wrong place, right? No one should be in a place like that. All your work should have purpose. Work without meaning is meaningless. This is something I told my sons all the time. Maybe it wasn't work, but it was like actions without meaning are meaningless. Doing things just to do them. That may be okay if you're meditating because you're trying to get into a state. But when you're doing things that you're getting paid for, it's just demeaning. That's why people don't want some of those jobs. I'm not saying every time you have to be engaged, but to go do cold calling and YouTube, as I was walking around the town, I said to myself, I don't care. All right, I'm getting to walk. And I always need to walk, so whatever. Normally, this is the time I ask you to like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe. You know, it's weird. The video I did today, the comments were working, and tomorrow they weren't. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I have a suspicion that YouTube would like me to, you know, I had a really rapid rise, and then I've been around between 340 and 350. Maybe it was 310 to 350 for like, I don't know, 6 months. So part of that's not an algorithm. Part of that's a process. If I was YouTube and I had people making content, someone like me, I have like 380 so odd pieces of content. It's not like I'm going away anytime soon. You would think that you would just let me be visible to more people that I'm hashtagging, but whatever. I understand you don't want to pay everyone in this game. I get it. They're here to make a business. I obviously can't attract more people. If you're following the channel, it's more from a Division 2 only channel to everything, even driving simulator, YouTube. So I understand. Now, some of you may get bummed out about the audio because as I go back, I'm trying to sit closer today because I am talking into an iPhone. This is just a prop to make you and I feel better about ourselves. It gives my head, I have an enormous head, YouTube. You could land an F-16 with no tail hook on this head. It's an enormous dome. So somehow the headphones make the dome not so enormous. Anyways, here's the tail hook, YouTube. So anyways, we're in the final part. This is easy. You spin around, you go down, you go to the left, you get in there, and then you just take and do it. I got the heels. When I join this group, once where I'm there, I'm always going to get finish on this map. These are this legendary, District Union, Roosevelt Island. They're what I like to call the legacy legendaries. They're easy. They kind of have a couple DPS checks, but they're relatively easy. When you get into Manning National Zoo and Tidal Basin, not so easy, tougher, longer, not quite so many, but it's just longer. You have to concentrate for a long time. I'm cheap, YouTube. I don't have one of those whoop-de-doo lights, so what I do is I have my big monitor. I have that on a lighter tab, and I got these white lights. I don't know, it's my Google wallpaper. It's not even my wallpaper on my machine. It's yellowish, so I got that kind of mix. And then I try to dress it up post-production, YouTube. So cold calling doesn't work. Cold calling on dating apps doesn't work. The thing, if you're on a dating app for, I don't care what your age is, people are on there and someone said it's like a sushi menu. They're picking exactly what they want. When you see the videos where a man says, I want a woman that's 110 pounds and her proportions are impossible for that weight, or a woman says, I want a 6 foot or higher man, period. Right? There's a lot of things just not going to happen in life. Not enough 6-footers going around YouTube, and not enough 115-pounders that are adults YouTube. So, cold calling doesn't work. So what happens is, and I've said this to you before, but I'm going to tell you this again. Life is a lot about selling. You're never going to convince someone of something they really don't want to do. Just not going to happen. If you could, that person would be the leading salesperson of all time. You could sell anything. Can someone get my buddy? Yep, thanks. So really what you're doing, at least on a dating app, is you're just less despicable than the swipe left or right. I often think I have a face of a serial killer, so like I had to overcome all that with my witty banner. And probably every woman I've ever dated, it's because I talk a lot, which you know very well, YouTube, that I talk a lot. Because I was raised by, that's Roxy. I was raised by a mom and two sisters when my parents divorced. And so I'm pretty talkative for a man, but compared to a woman, I'm still, like Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights. Not going to talk. So a lot of people thought that was kind of decent about me, and maybe we talked and they got over my ugly face and whatever. And please don't tell me. I mean, you don't have to. I'm not doing this. I've been doing this rap for 58 years, so I dox myself, YouTube. I've been doing it a long time, so I'm okay with it. That's tongue-in-cheek, YouTube. I don't know what I am with it. Anyways, long story short, cold calling doesn't work. You have to have a relationship. You don't necessarily have to sell on relationships, but you have to have some type of relationship to put you in context to sell when someone's doing something other than just the lowest price. A lot of times when people go for buying things, if you go to Best Buy, you might have already researched it online, so you know how much it costs. You compare it to Best Buy, and then some person there is not getting commission. They're going to sell it to you. You just want them to ring you up as fast as possible and ask the least amount of questions. Sorry, Best Buy people. It's nothing against you. I usually get most of my computers from Best Buy after I've done a dump truckload of research for them online. In fact, the mysterious computer that I'm supposed to be doing a video for, I had to rush. I drove 60 miles to get it because it was that hot. So if you're a manager and you're kind of quasi into sales, try not to give, maybe a lot of your salespeople are lazy, but just because they're lazy, maybe their incentives aren't right because maybe you're paying them too much base. That's a whole nother talk. Sorry, salespeople. Maybe that's another talk for a different time. But a salesperson that's properly motivated, they're going to go out and sell. They want to sell. That's what they want to do. Some people just aren't salespeople. They shouldn't be in sales. But giving one a list to call. And there's places that do that, but they're preying upon the elderly in a lot of those cases. Just imagine this. In your personal life, you don't like getting those calls. Why would you send your employees out to do that? But that's another thing for another day. So cold calling doesn't work. And I just thought it was nice to put a lot of different things with cold in it in the title. Doesn't really relate to this video. See, I'm going to go up and try to help this guy. At this point, we've knocked it down pretty far. We're in the final people in here. And this is kind of my default build. Dang it. Come on, light. Come on. You would think, YouTube, that I'd set that timeout to be a little bit longer. Ronan's not that smart, everyone. I'm that smart. I just don't want to do it. Uh-oh, now I'm having a big problem. So here's what happened. I waited so long, it absolutely shit the bed. Sorry, YouTube, for my potty mouth. There we go. Oh my gosh, YouTube, sorry. There we go. Right near the ending, YouTube. Rise and shine. It's Ronan Kazi. Thank you. Help me get to 500, please. Talk to you soon. Bye, YouTube.